How's everyone doing? I hope you had a cracker weekend and possibly played your first game of Draftstars. And if you are new to these videos, jump into the description, guys. Hit that sign up link there, and we'll get you cracking in Draftstars. I'm just going to review all of the games this week and my picks really as to how I went and possibly how a few of these top guys went. But in terms of this game here, I spoke about Campbell Graham and Cody Ramsey both being great selections this week, and obviously with how this game played out, the Dragons came out and dominated, and obviously that was helpful for Cody Ramsey getting a try and 57 points at a really low price, under 11,000, but not so good for Graham. And the left-hand side, if you went Johnson or Graham there, both didn't work out so well. My only issue here in terms of why I didn't win it, so obviously I had a nice game, I just did the free one here, was the fact that I just didn't have Cook at 91 there. I just didn't have the cash. I wanted to make sure I had Cam Murray there. I didn't think Cook was going to go that nuts. Obviously, 65 is a pretty standard one for him. And I was hoping that if Rabbitohs could win, that Walker would have a really nice game and get a 60 possibly. So you still got the 43, but that's the only thing that really cost me there. I went for Blake Laurie as the cheaper option and Totola, both guys that were starting and getting some nice minutes. And obviously Silva Havili was a great option off the bench, who has been playing some nice 40, 45 minutes on a weekly basis and has a nice PPM. So that was really the only difference in this game. Very happy with the selections there. Let me know if you played that one and did well, obviously taking a few of my selections there. So I did play the Eagles Cowboys game. I thought there was a bit of value in this one for myself, just in the selections that I had. Thinking I could go with someone like with Kohler there. And Lemilu unfortunately got moved to the interchange late, but I still felt that he was going to get some decent minutes, which unfortunately didn't. He got about the 20, which cost him and my side, to be honest. Picking Reece Robson over DCE was the other slight issue. This was something that I thought was a good chance of happening, but he just had a few thousand less, and I thought we could get a similar amount. But obviously DCE with the 90 was the killer in this one, and having Ruben Cotter and obviously I was out actually. I saw the final teams, chucked it all in there, and then he obviously had the hamstring issue. So I was going skis in this game, putting all my money in Cotter, for example. But Talangi was solid, the 38 as my flex. I spoke about Davies, just continues to be a solid option at that under 11,000 price at the moment. I thought we could get a little bit of value outside of Ruben Garrick, who was obviously going to be a great choice at the 19,000. Cohen Hest was solid, obviously Townsend as well. So well done to Monkey Magic, who managed to pick Hest, Noah Brown, and Townsend and still win that game. And Holmes has been really solid as well, and hasn't been scoring many 70s for sure, but around that 40 mark has been his specialty there. Okay, I played the Storm and the Broncos as well. Again, not a great one for me there. Unfortunately, I went for Grant Anderson, and unfortunately he didn't get any tries this week. Aramia was the other option at the cheap price, and if you went for him instead, you did well. And obviously it was just a bit of a guess as to which one was going to come out and do well. They obviously game planned a little bit more to that side of the ball, so Anderson didn't get as much. But went for Munster over Hughes this week, and Hughes had a one try this game. Kamakamika was a very, very simple pick this week, I felt. Around that 12,500, and he picked up a 57 and did get a try, but that was that. Carrigan, a lower game, unfortunately for him, so we spent a bit of cash on him, and we're hoping for a 60. Unfortunately, the 49 wasn't ideal. Corey Jensen, lower minutes. Jesse Brom, one of his lowest scores of recent times. So, yeah, if you went a little bit lighter with Hughes, for example, it was about 5k less. You were able to spend up a little bit elsewhere. This person got decent contributions out of Kafusi and Ricky, so it's kind of like a in-betweeners type of game. Those guys that are around the 12, 13, 14,000. If you had a couple of decent ones from them, and a few of the top guys didn't score incredibly well. Like, Harry was one of the better ones, but Munster wasn't as strong there, unfortunately. And then you didn't have the likes of Reynolds to play that one. But anyway, that was that one. So a few up and down picks in that game. If you went to the next one, the Sharks v Titans. In this one here, we had a few solid picks, and it was really going to be around which Sharks guy did you pick. The winner here picked Marzu from the Titans, which obviously worked out pretty well there in that one. But yeah, the Sharks guys just didn't go as incredibly well as we would have hoped for. But yeah, that is what it is. Blakey Brayley I decided to pick. I thought at his cheaper price, he could come out and get a serviceable score for us, and he did so. Rudolph as well at that mid-tier price. Sam McIntyre, again, the cheaper one. I just had to pick one of the cheap 9, 10k guys, and Jolliffe was the one, hoping he could get a low 30s, for example. Wasn't to be. And then Katoa was the best of the bunch there in the outside backs. We had Talakai who didn't score that well either. Just really just missing out on a couple of those big guys. If you spend a little bit extra in the mids, which probably worked out a little bit better with Fa'asula Malawi getting a nice score and going pretty cheap with Matt Moylan, worked out there. So just a strange game. Sharks still aren't playing as good as we would have hoped. Nico Hines had a great game, but it was very hard to even fit him in with how expensive he was. Okay, my picks were pretty solid in this Warriors-Panthers game, but that was going to be based around picking a lot of Panthers players. And unfortunately, went for Isaac Tungo, and he was the only one in the back line that didn't do as well. Also went with Fanua Blake as a bit of a bigger choice there and a more expensive choice, and he had a poor game. Limited minutes and not doing as great. Coruscant was a great pick. Obviously, Cleary was very much needed at the 85 points there. Liam Martin and Mosley are both real cheap guys. I felt they could dominate and come out and do well. Yeah, it's just the Sorensen was a little bit low for what we would have hoped, and picking Tungo over a Crichton, for example, didn't work out as well. But yeah, To'o, I said to center your team around him. He picked up 2 tries, which was lovely. And yeah, generally that was the way to go. Coruscant, definitely an up game for him based on his last few poorer games, in the mid-40s, for example. Okay, Raiders Knights, 2 more to go here. In this one here, we spoke about Savage being a really solid option, and he was absolutely killing it for a little bit after half-time. He was around that 40 mark, and then he had a bunch of errors and penalties there to finish off that one, so not as good. I would decide to go for Gagai over Ponga after Pong had a bit of a tough week last week, only getting the 1 point. I really wanted to have Fogs in the team, but he ended up just being a little bit too expensive. I was hoping to get a slightly better game out of Frawley. That wasn't to be. Adam Elliott just proving to be a bang-for-buck type of player. 3 weeks in a row now where he's really dominated, and this time there was no... He almost had a try assist as well, but this time there was no try, and he was still able to get big minutes and a 73. So he was spectacular. Tarpany with lower minutes, actually mid-40s minutes to get a 58, so he was great there. Did his job, obviously spending up on him. Horsburgh keeps doing his thing, 44.7, and then Curdy Mano plugged in the flex there at a 14,500 clip just to pick us up a try and a 57. So majority of the picks pretty good. Could have went Ponga over Gags and then changed up slightly with Frawley. Could have gone a slightly cheaper guy than Tarpany in this one and spent up a little bit instead of Frawley. That was probably the only real issues there. Barnett was also a solid option we spoke about, but generally most of those guys scored how they needed to be or how we wanted them to. And then Dogs v the Tigers, so an interesting one again. Matty Burton, very expensive in this one, didn't live up to exactly what we wanted. When you got Jacob Little on the other side getting a 63, you wouldn't have expected him to score a lot more than Burton, especially with the way the scoreline went. I was hoping for a Dogs win. With my selections there, Carraz and Averillo were perfect in the backs. Obviously, spending a little bit cheaper on Averillo than Adokar. Worked out well. We didn't get the scores we wanted out of Tuolangi and also for Fatala Mariner. Maxi King did his thing, but going for Tarmau, for example, Offengawi, I wanted to have him. And Alex Twile was another guy I was going to start with. Unfortunately, luckily went away from him. Not that it mattered for me, but went away from him late. Joe was always a great option. Tarmau's been up and down. He's getting the 30 odds and then gets a 50-60. So well done to Sandgroper in this one for having a great week. And I hope you guys took some of my nice tips and applied them well and potentially won a little bit of cash. And let me know in the comments, guys, if you went well this week. And I look forward to talking about the Origin games. Hopefully there's a few games with the international ones as well, which we'll have a look at, and I'll jump in and preview all those for you over the rest of the week. Hope you had fun, guys. See you in the next one.